All right, so hi, welcome everyone. Good to see you. So today is the second part of the topic that we started last Tuesday. It's all about what is the self and what is not. It's a very central topic in the Buddhist teachings, the discovery of ourselves. Basically, you could say this is what meditation is essentially all about, getting to know who you really are. And so the question is then, what is the self? What am I? Who am I? Very, very often, for example, we have this feeling of controlling ourselves or thinking about ourselves, trying to do something to ourselves. For example, we say things like, I love myself or I don't like myself, right? You have thoughts like this, right? Do you talk to yourself in your head sometimes? Probably constantly, right? There's a constant talking going on in the head. And that talking is all about a me that somehow tries to make it. That's all that this is about. The story in the head. It's all about a me engaging with this world around it, trying to make it somehow. And there's a lot of threats also to this me, to this sense of self. So it has to constantly be on guard. Always watching out. What do other people think about me? Am I accepted in the group? Am I not? So it's constantly kind of scheming, looking around. What's going on? In relation to me. It's all very important. If it's about other people, it's not really that important. If it is about me and other people and what I think about other people and what I think other people should or should not be doing, then it is important again. Because it is in relation to me and my opinions, my preferences, my judgments. Then again, it's very, very relevant. But in general, just other people, all by themselves and what they do is not really interesting. Unless, as I just said, it has something to do with me, my belief systems, my religions, my whatever. And in relation to that, we then judge other people. We're looking around ourselves and we see, do they fit in? Or do they not fit in? Or what are they about? Is there a reason to fear them or not? And so this sense of self, this is what kind of makes the world go round. You can have a few selves that come together and form a group. Then it turns into a we. And we all agree on something. And that we can become very powerful, become an entire country. We are Thai people. We are Germans. We are Americans. Us. And then there are the others that are different from the way we are. They might agree with some points, so they can be called friends, allies. Maybe they disagree, maybe they're a threat and so forth, and it becomes again very, very complicated. And all that starts in the head, literally. It starts in our mind. All these ideas, like I am German, the word German, that is a fabrication, it is a thought. There are no German atoms in this universe. Have you found some? Are there truly German atoms? Like you go around and you look with a microscope and then suddenly you discover that one German atom. There it is. That's what makes me German. No, that's a thought in our head, isn't it? Atoms don't have a nationality. Atoms don't have opinions and views. They're just there, just matter. And so this whole structure of a self that we build up, you have noticed it in your meditation practice. It raises all kinds of things, it brings all kinds of things up. Constantly repeating its stories. For example, a famous one for a beginner in meditation is, when will this end? When can I relax? When can I get out of this really uncomfortable posture? And so here we come to the two major things that the self is identified with, namely the body and then the mind. So the self can feel as if it would be a body. Then you feel much like I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm tall. And what people think about themselves, or what they have learned to think about themselves. I'm ugly, I'm too ugly. I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not handsome enough. I need to add on things to myself so that I look better. Then we are identified with a body in that moment. This would be equal to someone identifying with the car that they sit in. I'm a BMW, I'm a Porsche. That is obviously absurd, right? We are not the car that we are driving. But we can very much feel like we are a body. It can give us great anxiety, actually, the way I look today. The way he or she looks. It can give a whole lot of stories into our head. We can think for ages about the way people look, the way I look in relation to them. That is feeling very much like a body. And you will find your own examples that are very relevant for you. Where is it that you personally feel very much like a body? If someone looks at you, what do you mean by that? What, are you looking at me? Are you looking at me? Then here again we feel as if we were a body. But you can't look at the mind of someone. You can only see their body from the outside. The whole issue, like whites and blacks, is totally absurd. We're literally wired about skin color, wasting a whole lot of time bickering and fighting on about something that's just skin. It's just skin. It's incredible, but people get really wound up about this, to the point where they punch each other and hate each other and dislike it. It's just insanity. We're literally fighting about skin, creating different role models based on skin. We see someone else and we immediately have our preconceived notions about them based on skin color. Very much about the body. A lot of stuff is about the body. This house, the roof, it's all for the body. The windows, it's all for the body. The way that you need to lock your doors at night to protect the body. Because the body can die. Here's a nice little test. If you feel that you're not the body, you should be beyond the fear of death. And that can be easily put to the test. Be creative. There's a very funny story of my wife. Actually, when she was much younger, she went into a fight with her dad about something. And she was so upset that she said, I'm going to kill myself. And she was walking out of the house, looking for a tree where she could hang herself. And then suddenly she encountered a snake. And she was terrified of that snake and immediately ran back into the house like a little child, you know. So that's the test. The life is very dear to us. You know, if you're even bothered by a mosquito, like a tiny little mosquito, if that's already enough to upset you deeply, what about death? Wow, that's a whole nother level, death. Mosquito, death. But mosquito is enough already to really upset you deeply. I might get dengue fever. Many people eat healthy food, including myself. Why? Because we fear illness, we fear death. So we want to be in control, we want to be in charge. Which diet is best? Anxiously looking around for what works. How can I be most healthy? How can I be most healthy? In reality, it's just fear. The fear of not being in control, of not being in charge of life. That's another thing ego loves to feel identified with. This is my life. I have a life. That's also very funny. I have a life? Do you have a life? Where do you have it? In your pocket? What do you mean by that? Really, we never question these kind of things, right? We just say it. It's my life. I'm doing well. Is life something that you do? Which part of it? What exactly do you mean by doing life? I'm doing life. It's going well. That's really funny if you really take your time to just a minute and just stop doing what you do. Just turn around and ask yourself, do I have a life? So then make it last if it is in your possession. Make it go exactly the way it should go. Because after all, it's yours, right? So you can decide getting sick or not, getting old or not, dying or not. It's all up to you. But it's not. It's not. These things, they come, they go, according to the circumstances, according to cause and condition. It's a very intricate web of cause and condition. Very interdependent with all living beings in this world. You know, there's so much going on that has an impact on everything. Everything has an impact on everything constantly. It's very profound. And which part of life do you own? Life is vast. It's in the trees, it's in the leaves, it's in the ocean, it makes the ocean move, it's in the air, it makes the breeze go around it. The entire universe is life, you can say. So, are you separate from that? Are you in the universe? So, hi, my name's Tobi, I'm in the universe is around me. Is that so? And I have a life also. So if I'm putting it like this, it sounds funny, but this is exactly what we do. Constantly. We're feeling like I do have a life, and then we're very scared of losing it. What is it that's scared of losing it? Ego, self, me. The illusion that thinks it has a life. The thought construct of me, that story in my head, that needs a happy end. I need everything to go the way I need it to go. And if it doesn't, wow, I suffer heaps. It feels almost like life is against me. Even as if all my emotions are against myself somehow. I can't stop thinking, I'm overthinking. Why doesn't my mind stop thinking? Well, because you don't own it. If you would own it, if you would own your mind, now let's go to the mind. We covered the body, you understand the body. We don't own any atom in this universe. Not one single atom is owned by Tobi or by you. Does that make sense so far? There is no owner of energy. There is no owner of atoms. There is no owner of earth, water, fire, air, space. no owner. That's profound stuff. If you truly realize that, wow, all the problems of your body are solved right there. And that is a lot. A lot of fears, a lot of anxiety, a lot of worries, a lot of low self-esteem, gone. Because you realize, wow, it's just atoms. Relax. Now what about the mind though? Do we own the mind? Many people can agree that yes, we are not the body. The body is just a temporary vehicle. But then they would say, yes, we are the mind though. Well, that's even more crazy. The mind changes second after second. The body at least is a little bit stable, isn't it? It's just at least it lasts for a bit. It doesn't change every second. Imagine your body would just, in 1 second, suddenly it's a fridge. Next second it's a Ferrari. Next second it becomes a door. Then it becomes a wall. Then it becomes, right? But your mind, that's like that. The mind changes second after second. Constantly different thoughts, ideas, feelings, emotions, coming, going, coming, going, coming. It changes rapidly. You might have seen it in the meditation. And if you keep looking at your mind, if you keep observing it, you'll notice just what a chaos it is. The more you meditate, the more evident that becomes. That's not because you're getting more thoughts. Many people, when they start meditating, they feel like, oh my God, it's getting worse. Day 1, I feel quite high, I feel great. Wow, that was a fantastic session. Day 2 is like, oh, why can't I get back to that? Day 3, it's getting worse. I hear it almost every week. People feel that their abilities to be mindful and beyond thought is just reducing, but that's not the case. It's just their awareness has become stronger. So the mess that they did not see now it comes into the light. Now suddenly they see it. The image I give for that is, like, imagine this guy, he lives in his house for 20 years and there's no electric light in the village. And suddenly after 20 years, there is electric light coming into the village for the first time. And so they install the light bulbs and all that kind of stuff, and switches. And then for the first time, the guy switches on the light in the room. You spend there 20 years, and now he switches on this bright light, and suddenly he sees that the room is really messy, actually. There's lots of spots on the wall, lots of crumbles on the ground. There's mold all over the place. Like an old sock lying there in the corner. It's like, where did this come from? He never saw it, because the light wasn't strong enough for 20 years. But now, the light is strong enough, so he sees all these little things, these little impurities, and he sees them more and more clear. At first he has a 30-watt bulb, then a 100-watt bulb at some point. So the room is really brightly lit. That doesn't mean that anything increases. The impurities don't increase. The light increases. That's usually a good sign. So you sit down, you meditate, you think like, oh, things are getting worse. No. You're getting better. And you see the mess that you have never seen your entire life long. And why don't we see the mess our mind is actually in, the chaotic state our mind is really in? Why can't we see that? Because we're constantly distracted. Are you not? And nowadays it's getting really bad with non-stop entertainment at your fingertips, literally. You don't have to pay attention to yourself anymore. And that's devastating. It's horrible. We don't have to pay attention to ourselves anymore. You don't have to be bored anymore. But boredom is a blessing. It makes people creative. It makes them have ideas. But now, fantastic. No need to be bored anymore. You can entertain yourself non-stop, every single minute of the day. connect to anything but yourself. And we're feeding our mind with all that rubbish, day in, day out, what other people do. We're looking at what other people do. Not even what they really do, but just little, tiny excerpts, polished, filtered. Not even the real thing. We present ourselves on social media in a very specific way that we think that we should be, and that we think that people could like us. That is very much self. Here is an image of me. Again, that's an identification with body, right? Here is me. What do you think? Like? Dislike? Anger? Happy? Give me feedback. Because feedback is nutrition for ego. It keeps it alive. And so this non-stop entertainment, it keeps you really looking away from yourself constantly, and it keeps enhancing the self constantly. That's the reason why there have been several studies, several tests, of people who frequently use social media are, in general, more unhappy. There's higher rates of depression on the rise. People can't sleep anymore. So they constantly think about stuff that's going on in the world and with other people. We're constantly occupied, so we don't have time to sleep anymore. We can't rest, we can't switch off anymore. And then we can feel like a miserable me. And then we can overplay that on social media and kind of pretend that we're not a miserable me, but a very successful and adventurous me. And that creates a split. Here is what I show of myself, and the way I really feel about myself, I can't show that. And then we sit together and then we look at ourselves, and then we see, wow, there's a lot of urges, a lot of needs, a lot of being unsatisfied, restless. Quite literally. If you look at the mind, that's one definition of the mind. Restless, just one word. Restlessness. There is no rest, no respite, no, it's okay. But it's a constant, frantic search for the next moment, the next thing to do, the next thing to become. Now maybe I'm a meditator, now I need to become enlightened. The next chase, the next thing for the self to identify with. That would be awesome. An enlightened me. Only that such a thing doesn't exist. There is no such thing as an enlightened me. You cannot become enlightened. It is impossible. But when the self disappears, that's what we call enlightenment. When you clearly see that this little construction that you have, your inner matrix, if you want to say so, that what ties you up inside of yourself, what limits you by thought, that, if that goes away, then what's left? So the self loves to identify with things. My car, my body, my mind, my this, my family, my wife, my children, my. Now what is the reality though? But the reality is that this self, even though it appears, is not the way it appears. It's like a mirage. Actually, the closer you get, if you really look at that ego, that sense of self, if you really study it, you observe it in meditation, the closer you get, the less you find. It becomes more and more insubstantial. It reveals its true nature. It's nothing. It doesn't really exist. And in the beginning, it's more like, well, it doesn't really shake you yet. But then you keep looking and you keep looking and you keep looking and you find less and less until you drop into that state. You fully, every cell of your body, every cell of your mind fully accepts, like the me that I thought I was isn't real. It isn't really there. There's some Christians that say God is everything and everything is God. That is called pantheism. That philosophy, right? Everything is God and God is everything. I would agree with that. Everything is God, God is everything. Now then, if that was true, then who goes to church? Many Christians say that. They say that God is in everything. God is everything. Now then, who goes to church? I really want to know. And what is that churchgoer praying to? This is an invitation for introspection. If you are a Christian, then you would accept that God is within you, and every atom you're made of, every bit of energy you're made of, is God. Now then, there seems to be something that is somehow split, that is not yet merged or one with God, that hasn't, like the prodigal son, hasn't found its way home. It's lost. It's looking for the Father. That part, that split part, that ego, that feels almost like God is my object. I'm looking at God. What is it that looks at God when everything is God? If that problem is solved by direct insight, if you clearly realize that there is nothing but God, then that self that's separate from God is seen as the one and the same thing. That is coming home. Then there is an end of troublemaking, an end of suffering. You're at one. And that's what many mystics, by the way, describe when they make their experiences in meditation. Experience of being one with everything, of clearly realizing that there is no essential difference between this or that. But everything arises and passes in the mind. But that is rather profound. And this is nothing, in my opinion, to philosophize about, really. Like you don't philosophize about honey. You eat it. You don't philosophize about swimming. You do it. And a similar thing, you don't philosophize about meditation and the results of meditation and the end of suffering and then no self and all that. Ooh, wow. Fireworks, philosophical fireworks, mind-blowing, head-bending. That is all okay, it's nice, but that has to become an experience, a living, breathing realization. Seeing that there is literally nothing in the field of your experience that is owned by anyone. That's pretty mind-blowing. Every thought that comes through your being right now, you're not owning it. It's a product of your upbringing, a product of your surrounding, the societies you grew up in, the advertisings that you've watched, the people you hang out with, the books you've read. In other words, the information that has been filled into you since you were a baby. Now that speaks. Round and round and round it goes in your head, in your mind. No, I don't know if I can agree with that. You know, that doubt is learned. Not trusting in yourself, in your awareness, in your consciousness. That is also learned. being lost in thought, trying to think it through, is learned. And these are things, the deeper meaning of life, it cannot be thought out. It's impossible to think about it. That's what ego wants to, because it wants to control it. It wants to own it. It wants to have it. I got it! That's self right there. What did you get? Who got it? Who's there? And this is a reflection. And that reflection you can only really properly do if you become quiet, composed. You sit down, you relax, you close your eyes, and you take the time to look at your experiences, the various experiences as they come and go, and then you learn about them. And there are 3 points that you can learn about your experiences. These 3 points are upwards leading to the inside of not self, of clearly understanding that such a thing as a self doesn't really exist. The first one is contemplating impermanence, contemplating that nothing really lasts. There is no experience that you are making that can be sustained. Try. Next time you cry, try stay crying. Put it to the test. You're really sad, make it a thing. Sit down and be sad. Okay, I'm going to be sad for an hour now. Time it. Put on a timer. And then try to stay crying for an hour. If the crying wants to abate, the tears become dry, try to keep going. Can you keep it? It's impossible. Same with anger. Next time anger comes, try to stay angry. You sit down. Okay, I'm angry right now. I'm going to focus on that one. I'm going to keep it. And try to stay angry. Really put it to the test. How long can you stay angry for? It will exhaust itself at some point, naturally. You can't keep it. There is not one single state that you can keep. And then are you making those states? First of all, if someone offends you, someone says something that you disagree with, and you get angry, are you making that anger? Are you creating it into existence? Like, oh, I've heard something that I usually disagree with. I should get angry. How do I get angry again? Well, first of all, I should resist the fact that this has been said just now. Then I should superimpose another opinion and compare it against that opinion. And then I should create that feeling of angry. How do you do that? How do you create that feeling of anger? You can't. It just happens, right? When someone says something wrong, boom, you're angry. Someone praises you, someone says, hey, wow, you look fantastic, guys. All of you, you look fantastic today. And you feel, nice. That is not created by you, that feeling. It's a product of circumstance, isn't it? If you can see that clearly, that you're not the creator of the feeling, and that the feeling cannot be sustained. I'm telling you a joke and you laugh. And then I tell you, keep laughing. Keep it going, keep laughing. You'll feel silly after 10 seconds. You can't keep it. Try nonetheless, prove it to yourself, you cannot keep it. See the impermanence of all states, continuously again and again. It leads up to the second understanding. The second understanding is a bit more deep. This is the true, honest understanding that because nothing lasts in the realm of circumstance, feelings, thoughts, experiences, nothing lasts, nothing can satisfy you. This is the truth of unsatisfactoriness. You cannot find satisfaction in the realm of matter or mind. Impossible. You have been trying for how many years? It should be proof enough. You are still trying. We're all still trying. It's like your posture. I give that example all the time because it's so powerful. It hurts, right? Your body hurts, right? Does it get better? If you just stay still, does it get better? No, it gets worse. What do you do when it gets worse? You change. That's better. Is it really better or is it just the same? Is it really better? Life is the same, by the way. You change your posture in life many, many times in many, many ways, and you keep just getting other stuff. But it's not linear. Life is not a thing that starts at A down here and it ends up at B. Paradise, awesomeness, never-ending bliss, all by itself. Doesn't happen. Life is not like that. Life is more like pain, 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 peaking, relief, 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 relief. Ah, nice, 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 nice. End of nice. Beginning of pain, 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 oh God. And then again, nice, 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 nice. Then pain again. Don't worry, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But it only makes sense because of the tunnel, right? In order to enjoy the light at the end of the tunnel, you need the tunnel. But that's what we don't see. We're like, oh, soon I'll be out of that tunnel. And then you're out, light. And the next tunnel is right ahead. And usually we're in the light, then we worry about the next tunnel again. You see, this is just never ending. You cannot find any satisfaction in life. Only thing you can find is change. Now, I dare you to put it to the test. You probably have put it to the test endlessly already. Doesn't that beg the question, well, then how can I find satisfaction? Instead of just going, oh, that's very negative. There's no satisfaction in life. I don't like these Buddhist teachings. Bye-bye. Or ask yourself the question, well, if I cannot find true satisfaction, true lasting happiness in changing circumstances, where can I find it? Where do I need to look? Good question. That's a very good question. How can I be truly happy? Now that's the beginning of a spiritual path. The beginning of really turning within, really looking, I want to know how to be truly happy, not just temporary pleasure and then relief and then pain and then relief and then pain and then relief and then pain. But something that is a bit more reliable. Where can I find that? What is that? And that leads us to the third insight, the third point. The understanding that there's no such thing as a me. Because all the trouble emanates from that me, the unsatisfied little me that kind of tries to live a life. If that wasn't there, well, then there was just a universe. But no Tobi in it. At least not a substantial real entity called Tobi, but a fiction in my head. The Tobi persona that I've created, or that I have learned to believe in over many years of my lifetime. And if I know that to be kind of just like fiction, wow, I'm free. You might ask, who's free? Well, then there is just freedom. There is just release. But no entity anymore. No little tiny Tobi entity that needs a lot of things to be happy. Then there's just release, peace, freedom. The end of stress. The end of tunnel, light, tunnel, light, tunnel, light, tunnel, light, tunnel, light. Just, you're at ease. The tunnels and the lights, they'll still be there, but you will enjoy the ride all through. You're not caught up in the tunnel and you're like, oh my God, will this ever end? There is light at the end of the tunnel, awesome. You're not caught up, you're not fooled by that anymore. You're at ease. You're at ease in the tunnel, you're at ease in the light. That means you're truly at ease. This is what I refer to as true happiness. Everything else is circumstance. In order to meditate properly, I need my crystals, I need my music, I need my healing vibes, I need my yoga mat, I need my cushion, I need my I need to close my door, I need to be left alone, That's not meditation, that's just a lot of control. Real meditation, you're at ease in your room, the door is closed, and the door opens. And your mom comes in and goes like, Tobi, what are you doing there? Are you doing your stupid meditation thing again? You still trying to be spiritual? Can you wash the dishes, please? And I'm like, Mom, I'm serious about this. I want to attain enlightenment. Get it out of your head. Stop being silly. Do something useful instead. My mom hasn't been like this. This was just some invention right now. My mom was really, really cool about these kind of things, fortunately. But my grandmother, she was very much like this. I was raised by her for a long time, and she was very critical of me going into a Buddhist temple and studying there for 7 years. She was like, what are you doing with your life? What are these Asian people around you? Why are you spending time with these people? This is not your culture. You've been raised a Christian. And so I had to constantly deal with that. And there's this famous saying, if you think you're enlightened, right, then go spend some time with your family. And that's very serious. I think if you consider yourself to be getting anywhere with your meditation, you have to fulfill your responsibility of putting it to the test. If you're not putting it to the test, you're just kind of like floating in your little bubble. And maybe life will put it to the test for you, will pop your bubble in some ways. Then that's the question, how do you react? Are you still at ease? Now that your perfectly created circumstances crumble, are you still okay? Are you released? That goes up to very high levels. Imagine one day in your life, you go to the doctor because you have this kind of weird sensation in your belly, and doctor says, I'm very, very sorry, we have found that it's cancer. And your reaction would be just, okay, cool, I'm fine with that. I'm at ease, I'm relaxed. I have already surrendered to life. I have already understood that I don't own this stuff. It comes and it goes. I'm at ease with both. Any way that it comes, I'm at ease with it. Prepare now. Now you're all at ease. You have a good time, you have leisure, you have enough time, you have luxury, you can sit down, you can enjoy yourself and practice meditation, because you'll get older and older and you're moving towards death, and you will lose everything you think you are at some point. We're all getting there faster than we all want to. And so now we can use our time wisely and well to understand ourselves to such a degree of why, to go beyond stress, to be at ease. What's the point of being at ease? Well, you have something meaningful to share with your friends, even with your enemies. You are a good contribution in this world. Wherever you go, that's where it's peaceful. Wherever you go, that's where problems end. That's where backstabbing ends. That's where mistrust ends. That's where anger cools down, because you're there. That's your power. We don't need to wait for politicians to change the world. Politicians... they do this. They just hop in there, yeah.
She's at ease.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good example, guys. Shock. Now, the question is, what does it mean to be at ease? Can you be at ease with being shocked? It's normal to be shocked. You see, we're not trying to be a control freak. Ego thinks of this differently. It thinks like, should have been more enlightened. I got really shocked by the cat. I should have been totally cool instead, right? Oh, the cat comes in and I'm like, I'm cool. Whatever. Just a cat. But that's not true. The truth is, there is shock. You're not making it. You're not sustaining it either. It's already fading, you notice? And it just comes and it just goes. And can you be okay with that? Same goes for anger. Same goes for all feelings, all things that go through your being. Are you okay with that? Can you be okay with all the stuff that comes through you? That's the challenge. All right, so that's all that comes to mind for today. It's a very vast topic. There's a lot to be said about this. And anyways, maybe at a later point we come with part 3.